Prabhupada ki jai. So, give me the cartels. Okay, it's good to see everybody. Chant, we do that. But still, I miss your doties.
He's working now.
Just came from walk.
You were so much fun last time I was. Yeah, purple doties, bright yellow doties, remember? Now you have to work. What sort of job do you do?
Elections office.
Elections office. You're gonna fix the elections?
I can't say.
How much do they pay you to fix the elections?
I tell you privately.
Oh my God. Yeah, we can use you in the United States. Just contact Donald Trump. He'll hire you immediately. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samudiniti Namahe Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Paramahansa Paramahansa Osateta Satashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Charanara Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananda Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Brahman Say Go Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Sri Gaur Bhakti Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gop Govanath Shaya Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhani Ki Jai, Vrindavanam Ki Jai, Maturam Ki Jai, Jagat Goswami Ki Jai, Yamunamai Ki Jai, Srimati Glasa Devi Ki Jai, Sarveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Gaur Guru. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is the assembled devotees. All glory is to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Shri Prabhupada, Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Vastaya, Big Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamani Namaste, Saraswati Devi, Gaurmani Pacharani, Shunyavadi Paschati, Shunyavadi, Madanat, Dandasha, Shabbat. Chakshuru Medikam Tasmai Shri. So, before we ask you all for questions, which is what we usually do, I want to speak on one topic that was brought to mind today. Before coming here, we visited this nice devotee, Satyabhama, and Nilesh Prabhu, wherever he is now. Where is he? Oh, there he is. So he brought me to see her, and he's been taking care of her. He's not related in any way. But somehow or other, he's taking care of her with great love, with devotion. Whereas the family members, basically, they're probably waiting for her to leave her body so they can fight over the property. So it brought to mind the most important aspect of Krishna consciousness, which is Vaishnava Seva, which we've been speaking about in the last few days. Vaishnava Seva, Namaruchi, Joya. That, it's very easy to worship and serve the Guru. That's a simple thing. But to serve someone who's old, who can't speak anymore, who needs, basically to stay in bed the whole time, that requires some real bhakti. Bhakti is there when we don't get anything for it. That's the definition of bhakti. Anyabi lashita shunyam yana karmana vritam anukulyena krishnana shilina bhakti rutvam. That pure devotional service is defined as that service which is done without any personal motivation, even without the desire for liberation, jnana karma avritam, and simply done joyfully, not like a job. Some of you have jobs, you go to work. Most of you go to work. I didn't know you work. So you go to work, your job, when it's finished, you come home. It's not that you're at your job. This is joyful, this is ecstatic. Oh, I'd love this more than anything. I wish I could do this eternally. Right? You feel like that? But pure devotional service is defined like that. And Vaishnava Seva, care for Vaishnavas, has to be done with that mood. Not just, we're supposed to do it because that's what Gurudev said we have to care for each other. But you really have to do that. And that requires seeing everyone as part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna is in everyone's heart. Like when we offer obeisances to each other, of course, sannyasis never offer obeisances because we're much better. And I know. But anyway, when you, regular souls, offer obeisances to each other, you're actually offering obeisances to Krishna in the heart and the soul, not to the body. This is really important to understand. So it means seeing people beyond their body. You understand? That's really a big realization, to see people as something different than their body. Not, in other words, in other words, Yastu Sarvani Bhutani Atmana Ivanu Pashanti. Sarva Bhuteshu Chatmanam Kavanavigupshate. See, everyone is connected to Krishna. And when you see everyone connected to Krishna, then you like everybody. And you want to serve everybody. So, of course, Jivadoya means to serve everybody in terms of giving them Krishna consciousness, and Vaishnava Seva means to assist the Vaishnavas in different times. To assist the Vaishnavas in preaching, to assist the Vaishnavas in their old age and leaving the body at a certain time. So here, in our ISKCON movement, I'm sure we have a lot of old people. Right? Not me. I'm still on my second childhood. What do they call it? When you're running a race, you have the second wind. You ever heard of that before? Anyone here run races? No? Marathon? No? No one here's ever run a marathon race? 5K, 10K. No one's ever done that?
Maharaj, we eat a lot of prasadam, so...
No, so you're running a race, you get real tired in the race. And sort of in the middle, you just like, oh! You get it's called the second wind. And then you just, you go to the finish line. So, we have so many devotees who need help. And another thing happened today. Well, I was told of a devotee who actually left their body, committed suicide. And I kept asking, how did it happen? And because they knew technically how it happened, what the person did. But then they didn't know why the person got to the state that he did it. In spite of having 3 kids, 1 wife. He did it. 1 wife. I think I was going to say 2 wives. So 3 wives, 1 kid. So in spite of that surprised me. That means we really haven't developed close relationships with people. We go on Harinam with people. But, this whole point of the Dati, Pratigranati, Guyamatyati, Prijati, Bonte, Ujyate, Chaga, I don't even know that verse. That means Vaishnava exchanges, revealing the mind and confidence, taking prashad and giving prashad, we're pretty good at. I don't think anybody's missing that one at all. Giving gifts, accepting gifts, okay. That's not a challenge for us. But the challenge is actually revealing the mind and confidence. Because everyone here is so concerned with reputation. What if I reveal the mind and I tell you I saw a Bollywood movie last night? Ooh. Actually, today I just downloaded a Bollywood movie. But it's about the Taj Mahal. It's an interesting, dramatic movie. So, in other words, we should be honest enough with the other Vaishnavas. And so when we need help, someone can say, help. And they can be helped. So you stop me from downloading movies. So anyway, no, I don't download that. But the point is, we have to have these confidential relationships. Not that we speak, someone to speak openly. Well, the other day, I drank some kava. But at least you should have someone you could tell you drank kava, and the person won't tell you, did you save any for me? I was at the GBC meeting, and I was looking around, who can accept chocolate at the GBC meeting? Because, we have conservative people in the GBC. And so I was just looking at who's liberal, who would eat chocolate, who would not eat chocolate. So I went around, sneaking around, gave all my good friends chocolate. And I got noticed by one of the very conservative devotees, who happened to be the chairman. He said, what are you doing? And I said, you don't want to know. He said, no, please tell me. I said, you're too conservative. You know, you would criticize me. And he said, no, you should tell me. I said, I was giving chocolate out. And then he says, did you save any for me? So I discovered that chocolate is something that everybody takes, even though they won't admit it. So, but seriously speaking, like this person who left his body, okay. So someone should have known. It's not that people don't do that all of a sudden, you know, just one day, oh yeah, having a good time, okay, I should commit suicide. There's other factors there. I mean, maybe a mental illness, maybe, you know, manic depressive, I don't know. But nobody had an idea. So that means we're at fault. You understand what I'm talking about? We're at fault because nobody had an idea. And they were all his friends, you know, going out and Harinam and played the drum really nicely, according to the devotees. And so I was thinking, oh my God, what kind of society do we have if we can't care for each other and be aware and feel comfortable in telling others, you know, what we're struggling with? That was the first thing I learned from that lesson. And then I basically started asking about the family. I said, you know, he left with a wife and 3 kids. So what's the arrangement for them? You know, because the wife doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a paying job or anything like that. And there's 3 young kids. So basically, the devotees didn't really think before about what sort of arrangement needed to be made for her. And I was explaining that you have to make sure she meets her payments on her house, whatever payments she has. I said, that's our responsibility to do that. So instead, you know, they were talking about the funeral. You know, there's a limited amount of help you can give to someone once they've left the body. You can pray for them, you can have a little oven, you can all drink kava for them. Right? You know what they do here? You can do all sorts of things, but really, it's limited. Because wherever they're going, they're going. Right? That's it. But you can help the living people, and that should be our concentration. So I was more focused on the people who were alive. I said, all right, you came here, you know, Nanda came all the way here to do a havan, and they're doing all these sacrifices. I said, what? I basically said, so what? You know, what about the poor lady and her 3 kids? Because your sacrifice is not going to help her. So anyway, I was just pointing out different things I learned during the day. You know, one from watching a good example of Nilesh, she was just like overflowing with devotion. And he's also telling me that when he gets the property later on, he's going to make a place for old people. Not for me. And take care of old people. I said, oh my God, he's putting his own money into these things. I'm thinking, this is, you know, and he's not an initiated devotee, but he seems to have more bhakti than many initiated devotees do. Don't get proud. And he makes a living by climbing these towers. One time I watched him, and I was just praying, oh my God, I hope he has a parachute. Yeah, seriously. Climbed the towers, and then recently he climbed a tower that was all rusty. It was getting ready to break off at the top, right? He gets to the top, and the thing is swaying. It's on the top of a mountain. How many meters high was the mountain?
550. 500.
How much?
500 feet.
Yeah. And the tower was almost the same amount. So he's on the top there, making money, you know. I guess it's a good job. Too many openings for these other devotees who are looking for jobs. Just make sure your life insurance is there. So, but anyway, I was just saying, you know, that's what a devotee should be like. Our movement will grow dramatically. I mean, even it's strategic for our movement. If everybody feels cared for, nobody's going to leave if they feel cared for. But if they don't feel cared for, you know, you get old, and then you just dump you off, and they come to see you once every 6 months. Devotees come and do a kirtan at your place. It's a very lonely life. Like old people, when they're left alone, it's lonely, and they die sooner because of that. Because they, you know, that's what Nilesh was telling me. Because they don't have anyone to talk to, right? And it's just, I mean, you're young, you have plenty of people to talk to. You have a mobile phone, you can text someone. I mean, all day long you're talking. I know, because people who are driving me in the car, they're getting phone calls all the time. I get a lot of mail and phone calls. So, but to live a lonely life. So anyway, so I don't want to dwell on that particular point. So we need to have those relationships, we need to care for each other. And if we do that, Krishna will be very pleased. Not only will our movement expand, but Krishna will be very, very pleased with us. And we'll get Namaruchi. And then we'll get empowered to do Jivadoya, you know, to bring people to the movement. So those are the two of the lessons I've learned today. If we keep our eyes open, there's always lessons to learn. Everybody understands that? So, anyway, that was my brief talk about Vaishnava care and compassion. And so, we have to find out someone's struggling. He has to have some friends, isn't it? Someone, I mean, everyone here probably has something they're struggling with. If you come in, you can't trust someone, you just smile. Everything all right, Prabhu? Yeah. I'm ecstatic. But, you know, everyone has issues. I only have issues with other people. Yeah, the only issue that's bothering me now is because of this whole issue on this time, where they won't let ladies become gurus. It's bothering me, because it involves discrimination against 50% of the population. So that's what's been on my mind. Every class that comes out. But besides that, by Krishna's grace, I don't have any issues. Pretty good. No issues. Too happy. Doctor has to prescribe some sedatives, so I'm not so happy. Calm down, you know. Don't jump around with your guitar, you're too old for it. As Sachimata said, no, calm down, Gurudev. You're going to have a heart attack. I mean, if I didn't have a heart attack last night, I'm never going to have a heart attack. Isn't it? I mean, so is a heart patient that did that, they'd be dead on this spot. So, all right, so questions? Questions, comments? Yes, Sajima.
Maharaj, we would like some clarification on the customary rites that's performed when a devotee passes away.
Right.
And for also if there is any difference or there are different applications to someone who would end their life as self-inflicted death. I'm asking this because there is some confusion within the society,
Right.
as well as we might be judged from other perspectives, from other
Right.
religious organizations.
So the question was the end of life ceremonies, especially for people who might have committed suicide, right? So one thing is, because we're a preaching movement, many times we have to do ceremonies that are unnecessary. It's just like recently we had an eclipse. I think you had an eclipse here on Gopurnima. So as Vaishnavas following, Gaudiya Vaishnavism, technically we don't have to shut the temple down. Technically we can continue everything. Technically, yes. However, if we want people to take us seriously, then I don't know what you did here, so I'm not criticizing things one way or the other. But I told them in Lotoka, because they asked me a question, I said, do everything beforehand. Then afterwards, you just have kirtan. Kirtan's fine. Not because we have to, but because we're concerned with what people think about our movement. So, Prabhupada did the same thing in Vrindavan. When he installed the deities, he hired the ritualistic brahmins to do the ceremony. But he said the devotees actually were the ones who installed the deities by Harinam Kirtan. So that's also one of the standards we have to apply. Not to disturb the mind, Krishna in the Gita says this, not to disturb the minds of those who are materially attached. Because then they criticize us. Once they criticize us, they lose the opportunity to take us seriously, to take up Krishna consciousness. That's why Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, because people were criticizing him for his preaching, and he thought, if I take sannyas, people won't criticize me. It was a trick. So we may have to trick people by doing certain ceremonies like that. Obviously, certain ceremonies like drinking kava we don't do. We don't trick people like that. Even though if we did that, we'd probably have 10,000 more people coming to the temples. We have Ram Nomi. We advertise the temple will have kava tonight. We could build a giant temple. But there's certain things we don't do because they're against our principles. But to extend and do additional rituals and chant a few verses from the Garuda Purana or something like that, it's not going to hurt anybody. But technically speaking, someone passes away, whether they committed suicide or not, Harinam Kirtan is the thing. And also, feeding the Vaishnavas. Like Prabhupada said, if a devotee passes away, usually on the third day, you sponsor a feast for all the Vaishnavas. And that's all. That's really all we have to do. Because the soul has already left. I know people have this quote in the Garuda Purana, the soul is supposed to spend 13 days, right? Well, everyone's deciding what to do. Well, I tell you, Yamaraj is not that stupid. If you have to spend 13 days for each person, it wouldn't be time for anyone to die. Okay, it's your turn. At least I know I'm going to live 13 more days. And Yamaraj is dealing with you, Yeah, imagine. I mean, not true. Everybody, when they die, is different. What happens? Some people go immediately to Yamaraj's abode. Some people go immediately back to Godhead. Some people go immediately to a dog body. Some people go immediately to wherever they're going to go. So, the best thing, the only dharma in Kali Yuga is Krishna Nam Sankirtan. And that applies for all samskaras. Whether you're having Antyeshti, which is the funeral, or you're having Namakarana, which is the name giving, or there's the Garbhadan samskara, the seed giving. It doesn't matter. The best part of samskara is actually the chanting of the holy name. So that's the best thing you can do for someone, or feed the Vaishnavas in their name, and then again take care of their family. Make sure their family's all right. It's heavy when you lose, when you're a lady or a man, and you lose your husband or your wife. It's heavy. I've seen it. Or someone loses their son or daughter. I've been at so many funerals. It's heavy. And the living people need more help than the dead people. That's been my experience. I mean, they need a lot of help. It's traumatic when you lose someone. When we lost Prabhupada, and Prabhupada, as I mentioned many times before, Prabhupada was my actual father. It was much more painful than when my actual blood father passed away. Then we had to really, the devotees just engaged in consoling each other for months. I mean, it was like, I remember we found out about Prabhupada's departure. I wasn't in India at that time. And it was in Los Angeles in the temple room. And everybody was crying. You had like 200 devotees crying simultaneously. Because Prabhupada was the most dear person to all those devotees. So, and then practically every class after that was about the departure of Prabhupada. So it was actually dealing with the sorrow. Because you have to let people process their sorrow. You can't just tell them, you're not the body, your husband was not his body, your spirit soul, everything's all right, Krishna's taking care of him. Don't cry, those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Yeah, it's true. I mean, if you were completely Krishna conscious, you'd be like that. But who is completely Krishna conscious? So those are wise. But anyway, even with Prabhupada, even if you were Krishna conscious, then you'd lament due to the separation. When Krishna left Vrindavan, the gopis were crying out of the separation. So that went on for 100 years. So yeah, so does that answer the question about funerals? I've been to so many. And now, because the Prabhupada disciples are all pretty much my age, every 2 days at least, Facebook or some other means that some god brother or god sister has passed away. Isn't it? It's like recently my dear god brother Charupa, who I know quite well, passed away from an automobile accident. The next day someone else passed away. You know, it's kind of hard when all your friends are just like, go your way. You know, like you have this young group here. So when you're a little older, you're going to say, oh my God, he passed away. Oh my God, he passed away. And you're thinking, not me. Everybody will die, but not me. Honey, honey, bhutani, gachantiya, Himalaya. But, oh my God. But there's this verse, nobody knows for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Maharaj is coming to get you. Better chant your rounds of Yamadutas. Gonna rip you out of your body and torture you and put you through a sugarcane press. That's enough to get you chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We don't want to frighten people like that. It's not a good idea. It's like the Christians do, that unless you surrender to Jesus Christ, you're going to hell. And once you go there, you don't come back. It's like, for us, it's like the spiritual world. One who goes doesn't come back. So with the Christians, one who goes there doesn't come back. He never returns. So it's the opposite philosophy. All right, any other questions? Good question. But you don't think of questions, it's your service. Right mind. You're educated. Young girls, you should have questions.
So
Yeah.
Just when we had the devotee care training, just a comment. So they mentioned that we have the highest velocity, the devotee care is 0. So and then
Well, I wouldn't say 0.
But very low.
Yeah,
They
I mean,
give
zero would mean, you know, I step on your face, you know. Yeah, that's that. Oh my God.
So they gave example that one devotee was sick, and then Christians came to see them, and then she.
Yeah, that happened to one of my disciples. This was in Lotuka. One of my disciples was very, very sick. She was in the Lotuka hospital, and you know Lotuka hospital is like 2 blocks from the temple.
Yeah.
Right? Very close. I mean, I actually went over and saw her there. But Christians came and took care of her, and then she gave up Krishna consciousness. So whenever we hear of a devotee in the hospital, we should make some arrangement to visit them. Or in an old age care place. And they appreciate it, and you get their blessings. You know, like I say, you know, people do something for me, I don't need anything. You know, you give me these garlands, malas. I'll live without them. Not that I'm thinking, so many malas I'll get tonight. And they'll wash my feet. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. I can wash my own feet. But, you know, I don't need anything. You know, of course, there's that reciprocation. I accept it. But really, they need it a lot more than me. Isn't it? So, yeah, when you're someone in the hospital. So, I'm sure you're organizing a devotee care team here. I'm sure you have that seminar. I'm sure that's being organized. But it's everyone's duty, not just in an organizational fashion, but whenever we hear something, we should rush out and try to do something. We should not tolerate seeing others suffer. That's the point. Para dukkha dukhi, that's a Vaishnava. The Vaishnava is more concerned with others' happiness or unhappiness than his or her own. So, work on it. It's an individual thing. It has to be a culture. Not just an organization of devotee care, but a culture of care. And it's part of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada cared so much for his disciples. Like if he was going on a morning walk and he saw one of them was cold, he'd give him his chadar. He cared so much for his disciples. And so we should be the same as Prabhupada. Not just care spiritually, but care for everyone's needs. Anyway, it's an interesting point, and today was a good experience for me. And we shouldn't, if anyone commits suicide, it's our fault. That's how we should look at it. It's our fault. We didn't know, we weren't in touch with them. They didn't trust us, you know, whatever it is. Because it's a serious thing. I mean, committing suicide, human life is so precious. It doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. Isn't it? It doesn't matter. I mean, you lose your job, you lose this, you lose that. It doesn't matter because you have to continue anyway. Whatever's happened to you. If you are depressed because of something, ending it all does not end that depression. Because in next life, it's a test. Next life, you're going to be in the same situation. But if you have devotees help you, then you can overcome that depression. Isn't it? Serious. It's a serious thing. Serious thing. And, you know, I see this every day. So, actually, during the meal, I was discussing how I want to help people get a better diet, but then I gave up on that. There's certain ways you want to help people. You know, I see people with diabetes, I see people with this disease. I said, I can help you overcome it with some lifestyle changes. Nobody's ever said, yes, tell me and I'll do it. since I joined the Hare Krishna certain ways people just don't accept health. When it comes to the tongue, better to die eating. So, in one sense, that's a type of legal suicide. Because you're keeping the doctors busy, you know. They have to make a living, you know. If everyone was healthy, what would doctors and nurses do? Isn't it? Sachi would have to get a job, and I mean, it's just, it'll be a problem, isn't it? So, all right. Who else has a question? Yes.
You were talking about this caring nature and devotee should have loving relationship with each other.
Yeah.
And we should have confidence. But what we have seen within the devotee community, they are not. I think most of the devotees are hesitant to share their problem.
I mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, and there's fear that the devotee will go and tell.
Yeah, that's the
So,
point.
how to build that trust that devotees are? I think I was discussing with Krishna. I'm not ashamed that one time I also had problem and I went to her for counseling. So I think there's a fear of being looked upon or looked down that okay, that devotee has some problem. I think that culture hasn't changed in the devotee community.
Yeah. But I think particularly, well, in the Indian community, reputation is considered like so important. Like, I mean, everyone's worried. What are they saying about me behind my back, right? So people are afraid. You know, like I've seen before, people have trouble in their marriages. They just make believe it's not there. You know, they believe everything's all right. You know, public, oh, sweet as anything. And, you know, private's the battle, etc. Because, and you know, it's just people are concerned about reputation. So, in one sense, first of all, we have to find people we trust who won't put it on Facebook. You know, yesterday I talked to Go Cool, and he told me what? He fell in love. Anyway, no. That won't happen. It's impossible. So, I put it on the Facebook page. And then, yeah, so we have to get to the point where we just keep confidential. I mean, actually, it's interesting, even on the GBC, we have problems with that. Like, we have a confidential discussion that's on the internet 2 hours later. Actually, a funny story. Once upon a time, there was a confidential email group. This is about 22 years ago, 25 years ago, actually, that was discussing how to exploit the women in the Krishna consciousness, how to keep them down. It was called the GHQ group. I don't know what they were still is anyway. And so, what happened? They were having, you know, all the males showing us, having discussion. So I hacked onto their conference. Hacking. And I posted all their posts publicly. I broke their companies, which is good because actually they were being very destructive. But, you know, so we have to have at least a few people that we trust, that we can tell things to. Everybody. I mean, all of us, everyone, you know, from top down, we need someone to reveal our minds to and trust. And that's hard. For two reasons. First, because of the people we don't trust. Secondly, because of the culture of reputation is so important in the Indian culture. Where I come from in the West, we don't care about reputation. If we're just doing something wrong, we go on Facebook and brag about it. Isn't it? And you can actually see the difference in the culture. Is that it's much more who the hell cares, isn't it? And actually, that's one good aspect of Western culture, because who really cares? And we used to have this poem when I was young: "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me." Do you used to have that poem here? Anyone's heard of it before? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
We used to have words would never help.
Yeah, same thing. Words will never hurt me. So, I think once we develop love, enough dependence on Krishna, this is from the person who should reveal his mind, then we'll see that it really doesn't matter what people think. Because really, we're concerned with pleasing Krishna and Guru. And if people think, I mean, I know that people think so many bad things about me. I mean, I'm quite controversial in many ways. I mean, playing the guitar is extremely controversial. How many sannyasis do you know who travel around the world with a guitar? Do you know any? No. I mean, how many? You know, and a lot of the things I do, you know, the way I preach, the humor and everything like that, it's a, you know, I'm sort of like, you know, that guy's a little eccentric. But because I have seniority, I can get away with any damn thing. It's like when you're a professor at the university, there's something called tenure. You have that here? That, you know, you behave yourself for about 15 years. University awards you tenure. And then you can teach any damn thing you want. So it's good to have Krishna conscious tenure. So seriously, it's a question of just really being concerned with the people you care about, what they think about you. Like I'm concerned, basically, you know, for preaching, you know, I want people to appreciate what I'm doing, but I'm also mainly concerned with what Prabhupada thinks about me. And, you know, there's a lot of people who think, you know, this guy's too liberal. He's just like gone off the deep end, so to speak. I don't care. I don't really care. Because I have my connection with Prabhupada, I have my connection with Krishna, with Radha and Krishna, and that's all I need. You know, I mean, give you an example. My mother was very concerned with reputation. Because I was born in a Gujarati family. You know, the Jewish people are considered the Gujaratis are considered the Jews of India. And so my mother, she wouldn't admit to her friends I joined the movement for like 10 years. Where's your son gone? He's gone to Israel. So I would come home to visit her, and her friends would say, "How was Israel?" And I thought, it was great. And I'd never been there my whole life. So, you know, she's very, very concerned what people would think about, especially with her son. You know, her darling son. The apple of her eye, so to speak. Who's supposed to be a doctor or a lawyer, or what else? Anything else other than Hare Krishna. And she was getting ready to have me kidnapped from the Hare Krishna movement to save her reputation. After she passed away, we found the letter she had written to this deprogrammer. His name was Ted Patrick. Some of you may know him. And can you help my son? My brother talked her out of it. He said, "Leave him alone. He's happy. You know, at least you have me." He said. But then later on, I became her favorite son. And my brother was lamenting. At the end of her life, my brother was lamenting, she loved you more than me. You know. She never loved me. So, anyway. So I have experience with that reputation thing too. But from my standpoint, I didn't give a DAMN. What people think about it. Otherwise, how can you join the Hare Krishna movement? I mean, I joined the movement, and all of a sudden, from wearing pants, I was wearing a skirt on the street. You have to understand what that meant in America. A pink skirt. Dress. What's that?
I heard that they used to call it bed sheets.
Yeah, bed sheets. Yeah, because we couldn't get clothes from India or a good cotton, so we just went and bought bed sheets. And we wrapped the bed sheets around us, put it in the washing machine, and dyed it. You know, it was pink, more pink than saffron. So you can imagine how I felt with reputation. My friends are driving by in their cars, and they see this, their old friend who used to wear blue jeans and everything like that. He's dressed in a pink skirt on the street, standing with a bald head. Where's? Oh yeah, he used to have hair like you. Yeah. Yeah, my hair looks. Nowadays it won't grow anymore. But I was young, it looked exactly like yours, but it was also here like yours. It looked like a big fuzzball. So anyway, can you imagine how embarrassing that was for my reputation? It was, even for me it was hard to deal. Because every time a car drove by, I would duck into the doorway of the stores in the street. So maybe it could be my friend. One of my friends sees me like this. So, and then sometimes we even put on a wig. So just one time, this is actually funny. One time, I was in an area where people were Jewish, and they wear these caps. So I thought I'd get one and put it on. Hide my sikas. So I went into one of the Jewish temples and grabbed one of the hats and put it on. So, I mean, but I learned, afterward I learned not to care what people thought. But in the beginning, it was difficult. Imagine, I mean, of course, here you're used to dhotis, but imagine if any of you men. Okay, not a dhoti. Like one day you were on the street with like, you know what a tutu is? Hey, your friend saw you with a pink tutu. Hey, can you imagine? So I learned to give up my shyness and everything in the heart. I was shy before I joined the Hare Krishna movement, which is good because it protected me from all the girls. So, but then after I joined, you know, I was stuck in front wearing a dhoti, and I was told to give a Bhagavatam class and Sunday feast class after 6 months in the movement, and I learned to give up shyness. I learned public speaking on the job. Didn't to go to any university, study it, or anything like that. It's just like you learn by doing it. So anyway, I can understand reputation. So we have to have such loving relationships that we trust people. That's the main point. So we can reveal our mind. I mean, I find that in relationship with disciples, they reveal their mind to me. That's no problem. I don't mention their individual problems publicly. But between friends, there has to be that too. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? What?
She has one.
Okay.
She has two.
What?
Two. First one is, why does bad thing happen to good people? And
What? Why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? Well, I could say that's a fact because good things happen to me. I'm a bad person, so that's okay. She asked the question: why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? In religious circles and philosophy, that question is called, there's a technical word, theodicy. Theodicy means the justice of God. So the reason bad things happen to good people is because two reasons. One, if they're not devotees, they did a lot of bad things in the past. You know, karma. And the reason that good things happen to bad people is because in the past they did some good, had good karma. That's one reason. Another reason is that bad things happen to devotees to help them surrender to Krishna. You know, just like what happened to Prabhupada. That was bad. His Bhagavatams were sold by his wife. His wife told him she'd rather have tea than him. His business went bankrupt. That's bad, isn't it?
Correct.
Prabhupada did some preaching. In India, he was kicked out of the place where he was trying to make a temple in Jhansi. Prabhupada was gored by a bull. Prabhupada got a heart attack on a boat coming over. So those aren't good things. So sometimes bad things happen to good devotees, but they're actually Krishna's arrangement. They're not really bad. They're Krishna's arrangement. Things will happen. I mean, devotees get old, devotees die, devotees get sick. You know, people have terminal illnesses. And these are not great things, but Krishna has a plan. So it's either karma or Krishna's will. That's, in short, that's the answer. And only in the Krishna conscious philosophy do we have an answer to that question. The Christians don't have an answer, the Muslims don't have an answer, because they think one life, that's it. There's no more than one life. So, they can't answer that question. Why? I mean, it's like in the hospital you see so many babies die. Why? What did the baby do? Didn't do anything bad. But you don't know who the baby was in his last life. Maybe the baby was Robin. He's taken birth in Fiji. I mean, you don't know. Or maybe the baby was a great devotee, and the baby is just finishing up his devotional service and going back home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada said that sometimes about miscarriages, that the child has had a few moments left in this world, and then the child was going back to Godhead. So we don't know. We don't know someone's past. I mean, you could do astrology, but it's not that accurate. So, oops. Other questions? Questions? Tomorrow, everyone has some questions. What?
This question is from my friend in school. We know that no illicit sex is one of the regulatory principles.
Yes.
And like in today's generation, we see there's a lot of teenage pregnancies, illicit relationships, and so forth.
Yeah.
So, how do we as youths or young people refrain from engaging in illicit relationships and from and practice celibacy?
That's actually a good question.
Both
First,
for
I'll
women and
give a funny answer. There's a place in Greece called Mount Athos. Anyone's heard of it before? You've heard me talk about it before. Where it's illegal for women to go. Anyone's heard of it? It is. It's true. It's a monastery. You can look it up. Google it. Mount Athos. So you can go there. There's no cows allowed, only bulls. So, so anyway, but unfortunately they eat cows, but only when they're dead, you know, obviously. Really crazy. So, what's the solution? There's several different things. Is one, I mean, you have to have a spiritual vision of seeing that everybody, not identifying people with their bodies, and not trying to exploit people. You know, like, the whole problem with illicit sex is you're seeing people, seeing the opposite sex as objects rather than subjects. You know, just like I look at my car, I see that as an object. I want to enjoy my car. So people have this whole consciousness right now of objectifying. I don't, you understand what I mean? Objectifying. Object means something that has no consciousness. A subject is the living entity. So you're making it a thing, or that's an easy way to express it for all of you. You're making the other person a thing for you to enjoy. You're not thinking of what's good for the other person. And that's really, that's at the root of illicit sex. That you're actually thinking, you know, here's, you know, just like here's some ice cream, same thing. And here's, you know, someone for me to enjoy. And unfortunately, the media is pretty much objectifying women. Now, the way that women are portrayed, even in India, it's worse than in the West. And if you've ever been in India, you've seen some of these movie posters. I mean, it's actually much worse than what I've seen in America. That people have made into objects to lust after. And so this whole propaganda in society is like that. And also the propaganda is you're supposed to enjoy. And, you know, eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow you die or something like that. That's one point. Another point is there has to be some physical separation. Because young people, naturally, they have certain urges. And so if you put together fire and butter, you get ghee. And sometimes you get a ghee husta. And, you know, it's a natural combination. So, I mean, certainly, yes, I know in modern culture, you know, the boys and girls are friends with each other, and I don't have a problem with that. But when people are alone together, there's a natural tendency, even people will forget their determination and succumb to their urges. Like if someone, I mean, let's say, what's your favorite food? Paneer? Okay, let's say you haven't eaten for 3 days and I put you in a room with paneer. and I said, you cannot touch it. And it's, you know, smells like paneer, it looks like paneer. Paneer sabji, you know, like that. Just paneer has to be part of the sabji, or just by itself.
Sabji.
Just sabji. What else? What vegetables you want?
Carrots, potatoes.
Yeah. I can see he's starting to smile now. It's like, anyone's heard of the Pavlovian experiment? That makes you start to salivate, yeah. Think you're doing that. So I put you in a room with it, and you haven't eaten for a whole week, or let's say 2 weeks. And I say, you're not supposed to touch it. It's like, you will eat it. For sure. I mean, you're starving to death. So with young people, the urges are very strong. So if they're put in a situation, there's a danger that would happen. If you're in a public situation surrounded by friends and everything like that, it's unlikely, yeah, it's more protected. Therefore, usually, you know, like Chanakapanda says, not to be alone in a secluded place, someone who's not someone's wife. And that's where trouble starts. I mean, what can I say? Even you find that people who are older in business and they have a secretary or something like that, and fire and butter, you know, what can I say? It's a natural force in this world. It's like hunger, you know, people have natural force. And you have to be careful. Because it causes so much problems. Like illegitimate, like children being born without the parents really wanting them. And then also children that are born with the parents have the wrong concept in their minds during conception. You get a little challenged as a child. So, I know it's a struggle nowadays. I know. When I was young, things were very little. It was the hippie generation. So I'm well aware. Because you're here, you're finally coming to where America was, moral-wise, 40 or 50 years ago. And it's a challenge. But Arjuna points this out in the Gita, that when there's unwanted progeny, family traditions are lost, it's a disaster. And then people don't stick with one wife. It's just a one wife and one husband. It's really a disaster. Society falls apart, families fall apart. Society's stability is based upon family stability, not upon sannyasa. Sannyasa, I don't keep society together. It's the grahastas that keep society together. So, yeah. And people should look upon marriage not just as a license to enjoy, but as a service to Krishna. You get to help this other soul, you get to whatever, purposely marriage, preach Krishna consciousness, raise children, whatever it is. But it's like, it should be seen more like a partnership. Not that you have, now you got a free person who you want to. Oh my God, there's another joke. Okay, so here's a joke. I have to preface everything I say like that. Let's be taken seriously. Two people get married, and they all have expectations to enjoy the other person. But the woman's plan is, I'm going to change him to make him what I want. And the man's plan is, she's not going to change because she's so sweet. You understand? So they're both thinking like that. I can change him with my love. He's a dirty old bum now. He's going to be something really nice when I shape him up. She's planning like that. And the man is planning the opposite. Oh my God, she's so adorable. She cleans my clothes. She gives me flowers all the time. Smiles. Oh my God, she'll always remain young. Anyway, so what happens is a joke. Don't get me out of here. What happens is the opposite happens. The man never changes. He remains the same old bum she married 40 years ago. And the woman, she morphs into something different. As soon as there's a child, she doesn't pay attention to the guy anymore. It's like, hey, what happened to my wife? Yeah, it's just like, oh, she has a little baby now. It's just like. So she changes. He never does his laundry anymore. He has to do her laundry. As I said, it's a joke. You can take it seriously if you want. That's an option. So, in other words, because both sides are looking to get something from someone else. So instead, we should be thinking how to serve, and that's a good marriage. That's a good relationship. Like, even if the guru is thinking of getting something from the disciple, then that's a bad relationship. But if the guru is thinking of helping the disciple compassionately, that's a good relationship. So all relationships should be based on mutual service, whether it's a marriage relationship, a friendship relationship, guru-disciple relationship, or any relationship, or parental relationship, your parent, child relationship. That's the sweetness of relationships, where you help serve. So does that answer your question? Or else we can send you Mount Athos. There's another funny, this is a true story. Like, the brahmacharyas in New York, when I was there, we're thinking the same thing, how do we keep ourselves from being disturbed by all the women around? And so what they did is during japa period, women were not allowed to chant japa in the temple room. So it was a small temple room. The temple room was about as wide as this temple room. And so it was on the streets of New York. So one day I went to New York to visit the temple, and I saw all these ladies hanging out in the street chanting japa. You're hanging onto the lampposts. They're all chanting. I said, oh my God. Looks like a woman's ashram on the street. So they went to the temple. It was just the men. I was just like, well, this is a strange temple here. So then some of the ladies wrote to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, we're not allowed to chant japa in the temple. And Prabhupada got really upset. And he said, if these guys are so disturbed, let them go to the forest. And then Prabhupada said, but if they go to the forest, there's no preaching. He said, they stay in New York. I mean, if you're preaching in New York is half filled with women. It's neither New... Okay. It's not that New York City is like Mount Athos, just brahmachari. It's one of the lustiest cities in the world. So, Prabhupada was saying, but the preaching will stop if we send the men away. Because Prabhupada thought we should send the men away rather than the women away. Prabhupada was very egalitarian. I mean, considering everyone equal. So, we don't want to be fanatic. At the same time, we have to take caution. We have to take caution because the society is destroyed with illicit life. It's actually the worst. Just as bad as smoking and anything like that. It destroys everything. Because the relationships get destroyed. You don't trust people anymore. Everything's based upon, what you can get out of someone else. Not nice. Okay. Those are good questions. I have to say that. So, whenever we do a program, I want everyone to save up their good questions. Because these are practical questions that are being asked, isn't it? All right. Anything else? Because tomorrow night everybody has to have a question. So maybe yes.
Gurudev, how can we implement Varna Ashram Dharma in the society today, like in PG, because today's society, as we understand, is Prabhupada saying there's so many teenage pregnancy and all of these things.
Yeah.
So because it's the modern education and people are not even following the principles of Varna Ashram Dharma. they don't get married at the right age, they think that marriage is not okay and something like that. So they're not even following.
What's the right age for marriage?
They think that someone is too young, someone is too old. They think that after 30 they should get married. So what are your thoughts on that? What is the right age?
I think Varnashram doesn't there's no rules as far as when you should get married. I mean, Prabhupada has recommended, earlier in life, because Prabhupada actually said after 30 it becomes harder to adjust to someone.
Yeah, at least they should be young.
Well, yeah, but sometimes people are going to the university, studying something, I think we have to adjust certain of the secondary recommendations, not principles. The principles of Varnashram can be applied. Some of the details have to be adjusted. And what you're talking about is details. The principles of Varnashram are, first of all, Varna. Everybody is either a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. Right? Usually you have a main inclination, right? And you should be doing, your occupation should be based on something like that. And don't be upset if someone's a Shudra, because they can go back to God just as easily as they can if someone's a Brahmin. So, if you teach, become a Brahmin. If you like to control things, become a Kshatriya. If you like to be a soldier, be a Kshatriya. If you like to manage, you can be a Kshatriya. If you love money, then be a Vaishya. Nothing wrong with it. And if you like to work with your hands, build buildings, that's fine. You can be a Shudra. But you don't have to be called a Shudra. In other words, just understand. Just like when I went to the university, there was this department when you were graduating you could talk to a guidance counselor, and they would tell you what sort of job you should have based on your nature. That's Varna. As far as ashram, people should either be single, or married, or retired, or sannyasis. Not, what do they say? Not romantic brahmacharis. Yeah. We're singing love songs. There was Narada Muni, before he was Narada Muni, was a romantic brahmachari. He was singing love songs, he got cursed to become a Shudra. So anyway. So, I think it's a question of applying the principles of Varnashram without so many of the details. Not going around calling people Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. It's just understanding what their nature is. And doing work that they really enjoy. Like, I enjoy my work. I like talking about Krishna. I like answering questions. I like leading kirtans. I like all those things. But if you ask me to manage something, I can do it. I don't like it so much. Everybody knows that. I came to Fiji. I'm not really managing that much, right? So I try to empower others to meet and manage things, but I'm not a heavy manager at all. And as far as money, if it's there, it's nice. If it's not there, whatever. I've always had enough to eat. So it's not a problem. And yeah, I'm an example of Varnashram. I know how to do a lot of things. I know how to manage. I know how to do business, and I know how to work with my hands. But I can't do those things all day long without going crazy. I've designed buildings before. I built buildings before, which should work, but it bores me. What I'm doing right now, I don't look like I'm bored. I like to do it. I like my job. So you should like your job. Basically, that's what Varnashram means. And fit into one of those 4 categories of married, single, retired, or sannyas. Don't be single with girlfriends. like Prabhupada said, don't be a single daddy. So, I think it's time to end. We had enough fun tonight. So, thank you all for listening. It's good to have an audience. Someone to listen. Tomorrow you gonna wear a dhoti?
I'll try. I have to wear a bus then.
Oh, you can't. Now, don't do it on the bus. We'll bring home one for you. We'll change it now. It was just so funny before, with all the different colors.
I have it, Maharaj, but I don't have the opportunity to wear it now.
Oh, too bad. He's a very good devotee. I really like him. Stupa. He's a jolly person. Okay, I think we'll get going back. Thank you very much. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.